Hey guys.
Hello, everyone.
So this is I guess another installment of Terra Talks.
Ryan listens.
Yeah. um
Yes, we're back for episode 2. Again, thank you to everyone who listened to our very first episode
yes.
and everyone who's been rocking with us ever since the radio station days when we did our Valentine's Day specials and all of that, and our individual shows that we had on that radio station. So yeah, shout out to all of you. If you can hear me, especially if you're listening right now, shout out to you.
Shout out to every person that came up to us and said you enjoyed the first episode. We appreciate all the
We
love
got a lot of
and
feedback. Thank you.
yes, we appreciate all the followers. Definitely follow us still on Instagram.
And Twitter at this is TTRL.
So I hope you guys had a really great Valentine's Day. I know I did.
I did too.
Real quick rant.
Okay.
The one thing that I did not like about Valentine's Day
Uh-oh.
is every gift that I ordered for you, Ryan,
Yeah.
someone stole it. Like
Oh, okay. I thought you was gonna say I did something wrong. I was like,
you didn't do anything wrong.
I
No.
was like, what I do?
No, we had a lovely dinner.
Yeah, we did.
You had gifts for me that were great surprises.
Shout out to what's her name, Ashana,
Yes, our
our
waitress was
waitress
fabulous
at this Japanese cuisine restaurant that we normally go to on special
because
occasions
we
like
love
that.
sushi.
Love sushi,
And so, yeah, we had a great Valentine's Day.
except for the fact that somebody had the audacity to come onto my property and grab something that I paid for that did not belong to them and walk away with it.
Yeah, we got like 4 or 5 packages stolen. So shout out to whoever decided to take stuff off of our front porch.
I ordered T-shirts from Fingerprint Clothing, and I was like, why is my shirt's not here? So I reached out to the owner of Fingerprint Clothing, again supporting a black-owned business, also a veteran-owned business. So shout out to the troops. And I was like, hey, have you sent my shirts yet? I haven't seen them. He's like, they should have been there by now. I was like, wow, okay. So that's 4 packages. Was it 4 or 5?
I think it was 5.
I think that made 5 when I realized my shirts were gone. So
yes. Luckily, the companies that I ordered your gifts from, they resent it complimentary. So that was good. And they actually did arrive today, a week late.
and the owner of Fingerprint is helping me resolve the case. So yeah, we're gonna figure it out at some point.
Yeah. So the only thing is now the mystery of who is.
We got to figure out who did it.
But that's what cameras are for. So we're gonna
Definitely finna invest in some surveillance equipment. That'll be a fun project for me considering I'm such a huge tech nerd.
Exactly. But I hope everyone else had a fabulous Valentine's Day. I hope that if you don't celebrate Valentine's Day, you had a great Thursday.
And if you stole my packages, I hope you enjoy the pictures of me and Tara, because that's all you got.
Yeah, personal.
Well, some personal
gifts.
stuff that you can't use. And if I see you walking around with the shirts that I ordered, I know for a fact that they were custom made and nobody else has them because I came up with the design. Then yeah, it's on and popping when I find you with my shirt. Yeah, feel me?
But if you do celebrate Valentine's Day, I hope you got whatever gift you like or want, whether that's candy or dinner, date night, whatever the case may be.
I hope you enjoyed February 15th just as much as we did, because I definitely went and got premium chocolate for regular chocolate prices.
Yes. And the cool thing about February, other than Valentine's Day, is Black History Month. So it's been Black History Month now for
This is week 3.
Yeah, for 3 weeks now. It's been a rough Black History Month. You know, we had a really good one last year with Black Panther and a lot of great other big things popping. But this one it's been a little rough. But I will say it's nice still to see on my timeline Black history facts that I didn't know.
Right.
To be grown. And I grew up with a dad who was very pro-Black and like would always send me Black history games and Black history fact cards and all kinds of stuff like that. Grew up with an uncle who owned his own Black bookstore and was always checking me and educating me on stuff. And so I thought I knew all the facts, but yet and still stuff can still pop up on your timeline where it's like, oh, I didn't know that. And that's cool. That's what it's all about, is like learning something interesting, learning something new, celebrating your history, celebrating your culture. And
basically helping other cultures understand that Black history did not start with slavery and it did not end with Barack Obama.
Yeah, so a lot of people are like, kind of similar to what we talked about last week with Valentine's Day. What's the point? Is it needed? Some people feel that way about Black
A
History
lot of
Month.
people feel that way.
Like, what's the point? Is it really needed? I think as long as they're still first, it's still needed.
I think as long as the people who are controlling the publishing and writing of the textbooks that are used to teach schools and curriculums, there's always going to be a need for Black History Month.
Yeah, because in school, all you learn about is what?
MLK, Rosa Parks, and Harriet Tubman.
That's pretty much it.
And they acknowledge the fact that Malcolm X existed, but you don't learn the full story until you're in college.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You have to educate yourself. You have to really make sure that you're fact checking.
Fact checking is a very, very important thing that a lot of people do not understand.
Yeah, so that is one thing I will say. I believe that Black History Month is still needed. I believe that, and it's not just about looking up stuff from 100 years ago or 50 years ago. There's Black history that's still happening now.
There's Black history that is being made on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So.
And that's local, national, whatever the case may be. So I definitely think it's still needed.
In fact, you and I are Black history in one specific aspect. The radio station that we've referenced a couple times on the show so far was the first Black radio station or urban format radio station in Northwest Arkansas. And yeah, we were amongst the very first personalities on that station. So
absolutely. Yeah.
Still very proud of that.
And so with that, I'm going to ask you, who is your favorite, or I guess most inspirational Black couple?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm kind of torn between Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, simply because of the way that they handled 8 years in the White House in an extremely racially and bipartisan divided country.
Yeah.
And handled that entire administration with poise and grace. Yeah. Then you got your Beyonce and your Jay-Z.
Yeah.
And like, I'm all about business and helping others grow financially and things like that. And then Jay-Z has been preaching to me on that lately. Who else? There was a couple more. What about you?
So I have a lot of I have a lot of faves. Obviously, I would have to agree with you on those two. I mean, that's just a given. But right now, I'm kind of feeling Angela Bassett and Courtney B. Vance.
Oh, of course.
Because here's the thing. They have actually been together for decades. Mm-hmm. Like a really long time. And like really low key. But they both are like so amazing in their careers in their own rights. He killed that performance on the OJ little docuseries as Johnny Cochran. And then she's obviously just amazing at everything. Body sickening. I mean, she's just aging like the finest wine.
Oh yeah.
So she's my fave. They're my fave right now.
You want to hear a funny story real quick?
Yeah.
So I thought of Ryan Coogler and his lady. I'm not sure if they're married or not. So I was looking it up to figure out if they're married. And as I'm typing in Coogler, my phone auto corrects to Google.
That's funny.
So I end up accidentally typing Ryan Google.
No.
But yeah. Anyway, I mentioned Ryan Coogler and his lady. I'm gonna assume they're married and say wife. But his wife bought him. And they might not have been married. I think they weren't married at the time, if they are now. She spent a very substantial amount of money to help him purchase basically some software for him to write his movies with. And look what happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now talk about like investing in someone.
Invest in someone you love. That was a very inspirational thing for me. And I admired that because I looked and my first thought was, I'm like, that is how you and I treat each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know who else?
Who else?
The Ellises.
Oh, of course.
Oh my goodness.
They're part of the reason why I wanted to do a podcast with you.
Aw.
Yeah, they're hilarious.
They're definitely goals, and they are hilarious. I think for them to be relatively young, well, just watching them on Black Love was like inspiring because their story, like they're so committed to each other, right. And they have three adorable boys. Absolutely love them. But yeah, it's some good one. And the thing is, you know, when you see that hashtag Black Love, like it's so important to celebrate Black couples that are doing something positive, because I don't know about you, but I feel like when we grew up, the stereotype was that there weren't really many two-parent Black households.
Right.
And so now to see couples that have been together for a while and are like working on their goals together and growing together.
Absolutely.
That's inspiring for me.
Ice Cube and Kim Jackson.
Yes.
Simply because aside from all of Ice Cube's achievements and accomplishments in both music and film and activism, they have not aged
one bit.
There is a picture of Ice Cube and Kim and their son when he was a baby. Then there's a picture of the three of them after NWA Straight Outta Compton came out. Mm-hmm. And why has Ice Cube and Kim not aged?
Yeah,
they literally have not aged. The kid grew up.
That's it.
And that's it.
That is it. Yeah,
that's inspiring.
It is.
Yeah, health and physical, maintaining your physique and physical fitness and things like that are becoming extremely important to me as we get older.
Absolutely.
So I admire that. So definitely want to continue, down that path along with everything else that we're doing, because at the end of the day, your health is your wealth.
Absolutely. That is so true.
Anybody else you can think of? That's all I can think of right this second.
I know, just off the top, because we didn't prepare this.
And had you not asked me that, I could have named like 20 more couples.
Of course. But
you got your Will and your Jadas.
There's still time for next week, because we still have one more week of Black History Month.
Cool.
So we'll run that back next week.
I already know who I'm going to say next. It's Denzel and his wife, but we'll talk about
that's
that.
what I was thinking too, just because I was thinking about Denzel. Yeah. But yes, absolutely. They're another good one. So anything else you wanted to talk about with Black History Month?
Shout out to Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick is currently my favorite civil rights activist. And I'm gonna tell you exactly why. Not everybody stumbles into the NFL for a job. And basically, if you're an NFL quarterback, it's because you started throwing footballs when you were 2.
Right.
And that's all you did. Every time you came home from school and finished your homework, you were throwing a football. You were out in the backyard with your friends or a family member. Someone trained you every day of your life to become an NFL quarterback. And for Colin Kaepernick to take the stance that he took,
wow,
risking his entire childhood dream for the sake of humans.
A lot of people would do that. And
human rights and civil liberties. Most people, I can't name very many people who would.
Yeah.
And that's apparent. If you take a look at everyone who participated in a protest once or twice or never.
Yeah.
Colin Kaepernick literally gave up. He sacrificed his childhood dream.
Yeah.
And like Nike said it best, believe in something even if it means sacrificing everything.
Yes.
And Martin Luther King said, if you haven't found something worth dying for, you weren't fit to live. And that's exactly what I see when I look at Colin Kaepernick.
Absolutely.
So Colin Kaepernick, we absolutely appreciate you. You got 100% of our support. If I was balling, I'd have 2 or 3 of those jerseys, but they keep selling out. So if you buy some random happenstance hear this podcast, please send me one in an XL. Centera one too in a I don't know what size you want. We'll figure that out later. But yeah, shout out to Colin Kaepernick.
So speaking of Black History Month, we recently had the privilege of hearing the lovely Miss Angela Rye.
The very lovely Miss Angela Rye.
Speak. And I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you. Don't judge me. This is a safe space.
It's a safe space.
Honest
I'm
moment.
not going to judge you.
So it was raining.
It was raining.
Very harshly.
It was some significant, consistent rain.
Yeah, and it was like that freezing rain.
And even if it's not raining hard, the fact that it's consistent and not letting up.
It was not letting up at all. And it was
some very, very few amount of degrees outside.
Yes, it was cold and rainy. And so I really considered not going. I did. I thought about it.
I was like, look, call an Uber or something. Call a rideshare service and get yourself here even if you don't want to drive.
The thing is, I was like, how would I feel if I missed this moment?
Because I went straight from work. I was like, I'm not coming home. Sorry.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where you got to think about, okay, miss the moment or go have this a great opportunity. And so I'm always for having that opportunity. I love experiences. That's something you can't take away. And so we got to hear her speak. What were your thoughts?
So Angela Rye is one of the most authentic people. Like, she got on the stage and was basically telling her business. Just like, she's so relatable.
So relatable.
She admitted that her age was 39. I knew she was at least 30 based on her career path and, you know, what she's done with her career. I knew she was at least 30. But
she still looks 22.
For her to be 10 years older than me and could easily pass for 8 years younger than me, I was a little upset. I was kind of like, wow, what am I doing with my life?
Me too. Absolutely. She made me want to go straight to the gym.
And then she kept it both 100 and factual all at the same time. Not just from a place of, these are my opinions and this is how I feel. I'm going to say what I feel. But everything she said, she had factual evidence to back it up. And apparently that's what you do when you work for a major news network.
Absolutely.
And she does it oh so very well.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It was very reflective as well. You know, she basically tied the fact that the slave mentality was beaten into our great grandparents and ancestors is ingrained in the minds of our current generation as well.
Psychological trauma is in your DNA.
Is in our DNA. Kendrick Lamar voice. But yeah, it's just, you know, a reminder of things that, you know, we've come a long way, obviously, throughout this country. Currently probably going the wrong direction, but, you know, now it's just a reminder that we have a lot farther to go, a lot more work to do. But, you know, we basically just got to come together as one country, one nation.
That. Yeah, that was another big part of her message was, you know, we need to come together and make sure that we are taking a stand for something. So, yeah, it was awesome. I mean, I'm speechless still.
Yeah, absolutely. She was very nice. We got to go to the VIP reception as well. When I say I felt like I was talking to my homegirl, I literally did not feel like I was talking to a CNN correspondent. I felt like I was talking to somebody I went to school with. Like, not even somebody I just met who seems really cool. I feel like I was talking to somebody who I used to kick it with freshman year, and then she used to come to the little kickbacks at the apartment and all of that stuff. That's who I felt like I was talking to.
Yeah, me too. I felt like I knew her. It was crazy.
Yeah. So, and then she shouted us out several times throughout the actual lecture.
Speech, yeah.
Because of the impression that we made on her in the meet and greet, the private reception, whatever. It was pretty cool. I felt important.
Yeah.
And of course, I was in there with my camera. Y'all know I do photography and videography and such. So look forward to that video on my At the Right C page or somewhere. I'll post it. But yeah, that's coming soon too. If you missed it, she's on tour right now. So if you haven't had the opportunity to go and find one of her tours, look out for her podcast. I'm sure she's all over YouTube somewhere. Tune in to CNN. Check her out. She is absolutely worth your time.
Yeah. So one of the things that she touched on that I really thought was interesting was as far as like how you know when the news is real.
Right.
And I love that she was like, when you see my face do this, like
that's how you know they lying.
I love it because it's good to have people on there that they're real and their reaction is real, and it's not just you know, I'm going to be politically correct and I'm going to say, you know, save face and say what I think my boss wants me to say. But the fact that she could be authentic like that and really kind of make one of those, I know you lying faces when someone is obviously blatantly lying. So I love that was her test for us. I also love that she talked a lot about mental health and self-care and checking yourself and making sure you're growing and improving. That's amazing. So
for those of you who know us, you know very well that one of the main things that we tell any and everyone we encounter, that mental health and self-care are extremely important.
Yes. And we'll probably touch on this a whole nother, I think that could be a whole nother episode, but I just want people to know that there's nothing wrong with going to therapy.
Yes.
Everybody needs to go to therapy. And so I love that she said that. She was like, so my therapist said, and yes, I go to therapy. I'm like, yes, thank you. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, why there's a stigma, I don't know. But I think it needs to be mandatory because maybe we would all get along a little bit better if we would do our own work on getting rid of our past traumas and past pains and working through stuff.
And sometimes it's as simple as just saying some things out loud.
And saying it out loud to a person who's not involved in your situation.
Right. Who is not going to judge you, who is trained to help you unpack the feelings that you express and just basically give you a different outlook that you may not have been able to locate on your own.
Yeah. So shout out to therapy and therapists
And
in general.
I would tell, this is what I said to another one of our famous friends recently. We had a conversation about that whole thing. I don't even remember how it came up, but I'm glad it did. I basically said that one way or the other, one of two things is going to destroy you. The problem that you're facing, you can let it destroy you, or you can go see a professional. You can just get over that hump of whatever the stigma was supposed to be and go work that problem out instead of letting that problem destroy you. So I think it's very important because, again, one way or another, something could very well destroy you. Don't let it be something in your head that you could have went to talk to someone about and work it out. And it's obviously not an overnight kind of thing. Going to 1 or 2 therapy sessions can help you. It may not solve your problems right away, but don't be afraid to continue. So, and of course it can be expensive. Not everybody has the insurance to cover it, but you also don't have to, go to the most expensive therapist as well either. There are more affordable therapy options as well. If you need help finding those, let us know. We'll help you look. Seriously.
So one of the quotes I have from last night, she said, "Shake free from the giants that exist in your mind." And I loved that.
And she the way she said, not to say that they aren't real.
Right.
Because they are. But a lot of the times you have to conquer them in your mind first. And I was like, oh my goodness, that makes so much sense.
She was talking about David and Goliath. And I was like, wow, that's deep. Because a lot of times some of the things that we're facing, yes, they are real, but we make them bigger in our minds than they actually are. And you have to move past that. Another good quote she had was her talking about the importance of, or the difference between empowering versus overpowering. And I loved that. Are you overpowering because you don't know how to empower?
Right.
And so you're always trying to talk over people, always got to get your way. And that's just being overpowering when you could empower someone.
Right.
And uplift them.
And that's what we're all about, is empowering people and uplifting everyone around us. If you're around us enough, you know that. And that's why you're around us, is because you do the same thing. So shout out to empowering the people around you, being a support system, whether it's, being a shoulder to cry on every once in a while, or just saying, hey, how was your day? Are you okay?
Right.
You good? Check on your strong friends. Seriously. If you go to my @TheRyC Instagram account, there is a song I wrote. It was actually just something I was writing. I write sometimes just to kind of clear my head, to kind of vent and, release tension and things like that. One of my favorite rappers, Big Crit, did a challenge with one of his instrumentals off his latest EP. And I was like, you know what? This beat actually goes with what I wrote, because I didn't really have a beat in mind when I wrote it. I was just writing. And I recorded it to that beat. And I was like, man, this feels good to be writing something and to get back in the studio and make music. Yes, I also make music too. But yeah, if you want to check that out, it's a bit graphic, but you can kind of see where I was coming from.
It's real.
And it's real, I kind of stepped outside of my comfort zone to make that song. And I'm glad I did, because the stuff I was writing about, I felt so much better. It was like a weight was lifted off my shoulders just because I said it out loud. So
yeah, that's how I am with journaling. That's why I journal. I've kept a journal since I was like 6.
And somebody reached out to me and was like, yo, I'm really glad you made that song and put it out. I'm sure that took a lot of courage for you to do that, but it helped me just hearing it. I was like, that's what matters, I don't because it's not about, winning that challenge that Crit put on his Instagram, but it was about, the fact that what I said needed to be heard by someone, and it helped. So again, take care of yourself, look after your strong friends, because the ones that appear to be the strongest sometimes have the biggest battles in their mind. So
absolutely.
But yeah.
So do you want to get to some listener letters?
Ooh, listener letters.
All right.
So I haven't checked the inbox, so you basically have to tell me what's happening.
I got it. Cool. I got you. That's what I do. So this first one, I will tell you, is a bit of a doozy.
Ooh.
Okay.
I enjoy doozies.
All right. So I'm going to call this person Paul.
Paul, love it.
Okay. So Paul said, I don't know. Is that a joke?
That's an insider. It's an insider.
Okay.
Shout out R. Smith. But yeah, I'll fill you in later.
Okay. So Paul said, freshman year, my homeboy told me he had sex with a girl. Fast forward, she reaches out to me in regards to her son being fatherless because she's not sure who the dad is,
Oh, that is a doozy.
but she believes it's said homeboy.
Okay.
Should I tell him?
Man, that is tough. Like, how do you just be like, hey, bro, you remember that one chick you smashed? Yeah, she got a kid that might be yours. Like, how do you... Yes, that's an option, but I really believe that if she remembers being with that specific homeboy, the person in question, should tell her to reach out to the homeboy, because it's not really his business. I'm assuming this is a guy. It's between the two of them. I say connect the two of them. If they've lost contact, connect the two of them and let them work it out. Because otherwise you could just be jumping into somebody else's business, and that could turn into a whole ordeal that you don't need to be a part of.
Paul, I think it also depends on how close you are with this friend. If this is just, I'm assuming when people say my homeboy, that it's somebody that you're cool with, but this is not like one of your best, closest friends.
Right.
Now, if this is one of your closest friends, you cannot sit on that know that that might be their child. I also want to know how old the child is, because if this is a 6-year-old, I mean, imagine how upset you would be if you had a whole child that was like
to me and was
kindergartner.
Like, hey, I have a son and I think he's yours. I'm like, and you just now saying something? How old is this kid?
Right.
And I've missed out on all of this stuff, and you basically robbed me of my kids. Because upbringing. I didn't get to hold a little kid in the palm of my hand as a baby. Like, why would you not share that with me?
And the letter says that the lady is saying that the son is fatherless because she's not sure who the dad is. That's what DNA tests are for.
Right.
There's a way to find out.
And that's the main reason why I say,
if you think it might be him, then you need to ask him. So I think you should tell her
to get in touch with him. That's their business.
Here's the thing with that. You need to say, if you don't, I will.
Right. That's where it needs to go.
Yes, he should hear it from her, but you also can't let this linger on for 5, 10, 20 years. And then next thing you know, he's like, man, can you believe I got a 20-year-old and I didn't know? And you're like, I knew. Like, you can't do that.
Yeah, that just reminded me of one of those movies from back in the day where the guy found out that... It also reminded me of King of the Hill.
What?
King of the Hill, like Joseph and
John
Redcorn.
Well, yeah.
The whole neighborhood knew. The whole nobody knew. But yeah, that was hilarious.
That's kind of reverse, because John.
Yeah, it's basically it is the reverse. But yeah, point is, you obviously don't want your friend finding that, your homeboy finding that out years later than it already has been. Right.
So the whole thing of her son being fatherless, I'm assuming this is not a newborn. I'm assuming this is probably like a 5 or 6 year old, maybe 2 or 3 year old. This kid's been
through some things already, and
he's already missed out on too much. So
right, first steps, first laugh, all of that kind of stuff.
Everybody deserves to know if they have a child out there, and at least have the opportunity to be a part of their life. Now, if he's like, sorry for your bad luck, then that's a whole nother discussion. But right now the question is, should you tell him? And I think you should tell her to tell him. But if she doesn't, you need to say, I will.
Absolutely.
Because he can then reach out to her and decide, DNA tests and all of that.
Right. And, come up with a course of action that's most importantly going to be healthy for the child. Of course, this is going to be a huge surprise to the guy, especially if he had no idea. But, the child is who's important here.
Absolutely.
So obviously think of the child before any of this is carried out. Paul, keep in mind that, again, this is not your business, but you do need to make sure that both of them, especially the woman, the mother, you need to make sure she's looking out for the best interest of the child. I'm sure your homeboy is going to, I don't know who everybody is, but point is, the interest of the child is what's most important here. And I'm sure your homeboy will feel the same way. So
absolutely.
Whether his role in the child's life is a more active one or a passive one, but whatever the case is, make sure the child is taken care of. That's my ultimate thing.
So our next question comes from Crystal. And the question is, what advice do you have for going from living by yourself to living with your significant other?
Prepare to never be alone again.
Man,
prepare to not have a queen size bed, but to sleep on half a twin, because you will not get the bed space that you're accustomed to unless you're the person that's being the bed hog. Also, wait, who sent this? Is this a woman or a man?
this is Crystal.
Crystal.
It's
Okay,
a
so
woman.
be nice to him, because you're to this person. I'm not gonna assume it's a guy, but be nice. Don't throw away all their stuff. Don't make them throw away all their stuff.
Look,
Let the person you're moving in with keep their individuality. Don't just like kind of take over that person's life. You don't want to get rid of who they are. If they have something that they painted and they want to hang it up in the bedroom, but you don't like it, compromise. Find somewhere to put it, because that could be a very important part of who that person is, and you don't want to overrun that. Both make efforts to keep things clean and nice and neat, if that's something you desire. If y'all are both, I guess, messy Bessies or whatever you call them, then yeah, enjoy that together. But if
no.
one of you wants the house clean, work together to keep the house clean. Yeah, and be considerate of the other person's things. I'm a very organized person in terms of keeping up with things, because as a kid I was like, my parents always told me, if you lose it, I'm not getting you another one. I was like, oh, come on. So I learned at a very early age to keep up with my stuff. I always knew where everything was. I was not a kid who lost something every 5 minutes. To this day, that has stuck with me. Since I have lived here with Tara, I've had more things in the last 4 years disappear than I have ever in my entire life. And I absolutely blame you for it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, be respectful of the other person's stuff. If you're going to move it, let them know where you're moving it to. Don't have them looking in the bedroom for it and you put it in the garage. That can be very stressful. So just make sure that you are remembering that it's your space together and not your space alone.
Okay, so I love that. I'm gonna start where you left off, and I'm not gonna go back and rebut everything you said.
Feel free.
So remember that it's your space together and not just your space alone. And so that is a very difficult thing, because I lived alone for several years before we decided to move in together, and it is definitely different. It just is. It's not even like good or bad. But it is different. I will say, back to your point of not having any alone time, man, that's real. Like even last night when I was thinking, oh, it's raining, do I want to go to Angela Rye? I was thinking, oh, I could have this whole evening to myself while he's at Angela Rye. Like, isn't that sad? But I mean, it's real, because just that solace.
Right.
It's not even that I don't want to be around you or anything, because obviously I do. But there are times when it's like, oh, I miss just literally me and my thoughts and nothing else. And you do have to be considerate of that other person. Versus, I will tell you, I grew up with a mother that was like, well, if you in my house, you're going to do X, Y, and Z. And so I just remember being like, whew, I'm free. I got my own place. I don't even have like residence hall rules or RA rules. Like, I can leave every light on in the house if I want to. I pay this electric bill. I can leave every cabinet in the kitchen open because it's my place.
Man, you're guilty of that.
And I can turn on every TV in the house. I mean, it was just like, man, this is finally freedom. And then you move in with another person and you have to be like, oh, well, maybe that's not the best thing. Maybe that's not considerate, And so you do have to be considerate of that other person. I will say I'm definitely messy. I am definitely a diagonal sleeper. I am probably like the worst roommate. So, it is just a matter of like,
you are a pretty bad roommate.
It is just a matter of like trying to be respectful of the other person. I'm also like, when I do get to cleaning, I just start grabbing stuff and put it wherever. So yeah, stuff you've lost, I probably put it somewhere in a safe place. I lose stuff, and I was that kid that lost everything growing up. And
I was the kid laughing at you because you didn't have your new toy that you just got a week ago, and I still had all of mine. that I
Yeah.
didn't donate to another kid. So yeah.
And even now, I'll put something in a safe place. Like, okay, I don't want to lose this, so let me put it here. And then a month later, it's like, where did I put that?
Okay, see that? Yeah, I am kind of guilty of that because I'll put something in such a safe place that I hide it from myself in some cases.
But the main thing with moving in with your partner is to remember at this point, I'm just going to tell you, if you're serious enough to move in together, I mean, it's not legally a marriage, but it's very much a partnership, very similar to a marriage. And so,
You basically have a contract when both your names are on the lease.
right. And so you really start having to think like a couple, more like husband and wife, only because you are partners and everything you do affects that other person. If you want to have people over just to be polite, again, like you would with a roommate, you run it past them. If you're going to be out all night, you let them know so they're not up worrying about you. And it's not about like checking in or anything, or,
Right. It's not about answering to anyone else. It's about, being considerate of the other person's feelings. And keep in mind, I was an only child. I've never had to share a room with anybody. Like even in college, I went to Prairie View, and Prairie View has great dorms. Not enough dorms, but great dorms nonetheless. I've never had to, I've never been in one of those wrecked, like just giant boxes with 2 beds and had to stare at my roommate against my will.
And
like
I'm the opposite. I grew up with an older sister who pretty much did everything for me. So I was very spoiled. And then, we shared a room sometimes. Even when we didn't share a room, I would sleep in her bed sometimes or sleep in her room sometimes. And I would have, basically my room was like the playroom and I would sleep in her room. And then I went to a university where I chose to live in the traditional residence halls for 3 of my 4 years, and then got an apartment the 4th year because I wanted that experience of like the typical college residence hall.
I've never had to share a bathroom with more than one person. I've never had to use a community shower. Like the closest thing was when I played baseball in high school, and that was it. But I am used to having my own space because even in freshman year, the rooms were divided to by the restroom that the roommate and I shared. So if I didn't want to look at him, I didn't have to. There were people on our floor in other buildings, other hallways and stuff who never saw their roommate. It's like you walk in and you go to your side of the room and you can pretend they don't exist. It was wonderful. So especially me being an only child, I literally enjoyed having my space, my time. I could make stuff quiet when I wanted to. I could turn the music up when I wanted to. I was enjoying it, all of it.
So it's really about just realizing that you maybe, and that's something to explore, is think about how you grew up, your family of origin and your college experience, and really realize that person has a whole different set of experiences from you. Another thing I will say is realize like you're going to see the real each other, like the dating phase where you can like hang out, even if you are like going away for the weekend and getting a hotel and things like that. It's not the same as when you can go home, you know what I mean? Versus when you see that person every day, all day. It's just different.
Yeah, people's public personas are dramatically different than who they are in the comfort of their own home. And you will absolutely learn things about that person. So, yeah, I'm the person, my loungewear matches. Like I literally coordinate my loungewear. Even if it's just me in the house and I'm not going anywhere and nobody's coming, I'm still gonna have some basketball shorts, and I'm not gonna wear an Adidas t-shirt with my Nike shorts. I'm not gonna wear Nike slides with some Adidas shorts. I'm that guy.
That's so weird.
Yeah, I'm like my shorts and my slide. I got multiple pairs of slides. The slides have to match my shorts, even if I'm not going nowhere and nobody's coming. But your person might not be that person. You might not be that person. They might not know that. So yeah, you have to get used to seeing this person with the hair tied up, with the do-rag on, with the shirt with the hole in it that probably doesn't fit anymore. It's faded. It's not always going to be a good look. So you really have to make sure you care about this person to see how they are and continue to care for that person. I'm assuming you love this person because you're moving in. You have to love this person, flaws and all. And that might be the biggest obstacle. You might not have an issue with them being clean or coming in late or any of that stuff. But once you get to know that real person, that is what you have to get past first.
I would say it's a really great thing, though. I mean, we've lived together now for several years, and I love that we live together. I will say the key is just to remember, like, if this is the person that you love and want to spend the rest of your life with, like, you get to like have those silly, goofy moments in the middle of the night, like up just laughing about random stuff. I mean,
Yeah, there's obviously
we're
a
talking
very
about
good
the
side of it,
cons,
so
but there are a lot of pros to
so
it.
many pros.
And there are just some random moments. And if you've been, I would assume this situation, you've probably been long distance and then are moving in together. That's what happened with us. We were long distance and then moved in together. And so it's just like,
Right, I moved here and like my job hadn't started right away, but I would like let my 2 weeks notice go at my previous job in Dallas, and then moved here to Northwest Arkansas. I was like, oh, I don't have a job yet. Let me just crash here for a while. And you're like, no, you can just kind of stay here until you find your own place or whatever, blah blah, such and such. That turned into me just staying here, and it ultimately worked out. There were times when I was like, why don't I have my own place again? 'Cause I was supposed to have my own place.
Yeah, there are some times where it's like, maybe it would be cool to like go to our own separate houses and then go meet up for a date night. But
Right.
it's also so many pros to it. So I just think you have to, dive in head first, enjoy it. Remember to allow them to have their own space. A lot of people are always, when they come to our house, they're like, wow, you let him have a studio? You let him have his own room? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the thing is, if that's something that's important to that person, yeah, absolutely. You can have an office, you can have studio. Like, that's why people have man caves and she sheds and all that. It's important for people to have their own space where they can relax and unwind and be creative. And so if you do have the space available to allow your partner to have their own space, that's something that's good. But just, even little stuff like picking out furniture together, picking out drapes together, like the simple stuff.
Yes, I absolutely get that person's feedback on household items that you purchase.
Yes.
Don't surprise them.
Yeah. All right, we're going to get into the next question. So, this next question comes from George. And George says, have either of y'all ever been in a position where you've had to rekindle your relationship?
We do that all the time.
Yep.
Regular basis. There's times where I'm just like, I'll just stop and be like, have I kissed her today? Have I given her just like a really big hug today, this week? Obviously everybody gets busy. The romance dies the longer the relationship is. You get into like the real life aspects of being in a relationship, of constantly being with another person. And there's times where stuff just gets hard, and you're just like, damn, who are we now?
Yeah.
There's times where I'm like, hey, let's watch a movie.
Yeah.
And we'll just sit there on the couch watching a movie under a blanket, just chilling, just simple stuff. Sometimes it's as simple as just acknowledging the other person, just reminding the other person why you're together. Yeah,
my favorite, we definitely do this all the time. I think that it's something that you have to do when you're in a long-term relationship. When people say they grow apart, I think it's because they don't rekindle often enough.
They let themselves grow apart.
It's like when you have a fire burning, you don't wait till it goes out to be like, oh, let's start it up again. You start seeing it get low and you throw some, I don't know how to make a fire.
Throw another log on the fire.
Yeah, throw another log on.
Fireplace, for example.
Yeah, I don't really know this. There's only so far this analogy could go because I don't really know how to start a fire. But
I've only had a fireplace like once in my life.
You know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
And so you gotta catch it before it goes out. And so that's the thing. And so my favorite way that we rekindle our relationship is to go on quick trips. And I literally have a Google Doc that's called Quick Trips.
Literally just random.
And
like,
not,
hey, let's
not
pack
something,
the car tomorrow and go.
Yeah, not something we got to save up for. I'm not talking about, out of the country and all this stuff, big cruise or whatever. I'm talking about like we can pack the car up and do a long weekend drive and something that's, within relatively driving distance, get a hotel, go do touristy stuff, go out to nice restaurants. Like that rekindles a relationship because we were on a cruise a few years ago and we met this like super romantic old couple and they were like adorable goals. And so we asked them, hey, what's the key to how you do this? Y'all been together how many years? I think it was like 50 years.
50
and they looked
yeah.
really young. And they were like just all lovey-dovey. And they said the key is to travel together, because when you go to a new place, you experience something new with that partner, you are making a memory, and it just it rekindles your relationship. It reinvigorates your love for each other, which is weird, but it does. It really does. Like just learning something new together. I mean, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. Yeah, those trips, there's times where we just like, hey, what you doing this weekend? Let's get in the car and drive to Tulsa. Let's go to Oklahoma City. Let's go to Dallas. Let's just go. You know,
St. Louis,
it doesn't have to be far. You know, it doesn't have to be somewhere far or exotic or Instagram worthy or whatever the case is. You can just go somewhere and find a new restaurant.
It could be an hour away.
There was one time where we drove like to Little Rock just for like a specific restaurant.
Yeah. And the thing is, you have to make sure that you are just always keeping things fresh, because like you said, you can get caught up in the rut in the day to day, and you have to learn. Like we've been together almost 6 years, and it's really cool when we're like, oh, I just learned something new about you. Like we still have new things that we can learn about each other, even though we've known each other since 4th grade. Like that's crazy. Oh, one day,
4th grade.
One day we should tell the story of how we met.
We have to tell the story.
Not today though. Not today, because it's already getting kind of long.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely rekindle your relationship. And I don't know, George, if you're married or dating or what, but I think you have to always rekindle your relationship. You just have to.
Yeah. I am in a relationship with my best friend. So,
me too.
So it's basically a matter of remembering why we're in said relationship, why we're best friends, and the fact that at the end of the day, I got you no matter what, wrong or right. If it comes down to it, when it comes to you and whatever future children we have, I'm going to shoot first and then ask questions. That's the mentality I have when it comes to you.
That's awesome.
So like sometimes I just stop and remind myself of that, and I'm like, yeah, I'm still here for a reason. Sometimes it's that simple.
So our last question is from Beth.
Hi, Beth.
And Beth,
that sounds like a fake. You made that up, or did
I
make
did?
it up?
But as soon as I said it, I thought of Randall and Beth from This Is Us.
We gotta catch up with them.
We have to catch up. How are
so
we so
far
behind on This Is Us? That's ridiculous.
Our
like
favorite show.
It is our favorite show, but it's also very emotional, and so it's hard
Sometimes it's
to
too
watch.
Emotional, yeah.
And so that's why we're behind. Yeah.
All right,
okay.
back to Beth.
Yeah. So Beth asked, how do you make time for each other with a busy schedule, work, class, church, and other obligations? Woo!
All right. Luckily for us, we have similar jobs and similar career paths. So we kind of lucked out there, in that aspect at least. I would say. Wait, read the question one more time.
Right. I was going to say, I don't think you heard her. Beth said, how do you make time for each other with a busy schedule, work, class, church, and other obligations?
Yeah, most of those are similar. They intertwine. So you and I can just have our own lunch dates at work. You know, but hey, what time you going to lunch? Let's meet up at campus dining spot for lunch. You know, stuff like that. That works out for us. Otherwise, you know, just... Again, sometimes it can boil down to those random weekend getaways where if it's just the two of you and you get in the car and just go somewhere over the weekend.
So I'm going to disagree with you.
Okay.
Like I agree, but I disagree. I don't think it's easy for us just because we have similar schedules and are involved in a lot of stuff similarly. I think that is what makes it difficult, because we do see each other a lot, but we see each other at stuff when we're working. And so it's like we're working on this together, we're working on that together, we're involved in a lot of different things. And then it's not necessarily like time for us. It's us being together doing something else.
That's true, but I really just like watching you work. You know, I like seeing you and be like, "Oh, look at my girl over there."
You're so sweet.
Like, yeah, that's me right there.
But
over there running things, that's my girl.
But to
so
answer,
that works for me.
You're so funny. But to answer Beth's question, I do agree with your answer on that part. It is a matter of a quick little lunch date, little stuff like that actually matters. Also, for me, I am like so obsessed with my planner. And if I don't write it down, then it doesn't happen. And so it's just important to like make sure you write out time to spend time together. Obviously not, I'm not talking about like sitting on the couch and watch Netflix, but like a dinner date or a lunch date, like actually plan for it. I mean, it's very similar to how you have to make time for your friends. I mean, you know, you have to check in on people, and the same thing goes for your significant other. And a lot of times when you're in school and working and have several other organizations that you're involved in, you can have a pretty jam-packed schedule. And then before you know it, you look up and it's like, oh, I have this whole person that I'm supposed to be spending time with and checking in on. And so that is just something you have to make time for. You just find time for it.
Right. And again, that's where it goes back to, you know, the simple things like, hey, let's get up early tomorrow and have breakfast together. You know, whether it's sometimes
or even go to the gym together, because that's something you got to do anyway. Like, oh my goodness, I'm always like, oh, I need to make time to go to the gym. But if we go to the gym together, then that's killing two birds with one stone.
Right. Most gyms have a plan where you can bring an additional person for free on your plan. So even if they don't have a membership, you can bring an additional person, take them with you.
Or just go for a walk once it starts warming up.
Yeah. Not when it's cold like
Not
this.
now.
Especially not when the weather don't know what it wants to do. When it's like 54 degrees one day, 78 the next day, and then back to 20. Yeah.
But I think people make time for what they want to make time for. If you are with somebody that you're not really feeling, then you're going to be like, oh, I'm so busy.
If making time is a chore, then it's time to reevaluate.
Yeah.
So it should not have to be a chore. Sometimes it's going to take effort.
Yeah, there you go.
It
now,
will
but there's a difference between
take effort, and the effort does need to be matched from both sides.
Absolutely.
But if it becomes a chore, if you would rather wash dishes and spend time with that person, then it's time to reevaluate. Because I don't have that problem with you.
Aww.
Now there are times where I absolutely want to be as far away from you as possible.
Same.
So I get in the car and go to Best Buy and just walk around Best Buy in circles for an hour. I go to
Target
or Guitar Center
or Starbucks.
Yeah. It's just sometimes I got to get away from you. But then as soon as within like the hour or two, I'm missing you. I want to come home and throw stuff at you.
Exactly. Just for the record, throw stuff is not like abusive. He literally means like pillows and soft things like laundry. It's not.
Yeah, I like throwing my socks at her.
I don't want anybody to take that the wrong way. So that wraps up our listener letters for the week. Remember to send us a question. If you have something that you're just trying to mull over and you can't quite figure it out, you want somebody else's opinion, we would be happy to answer your question over the air. All you have to do is email us. Where?
You have to email us at askttrl@gmail.com.
askttrl@gmail.com. So just send us your listener letters. Again, any questions about family drama, work stuff, relationships, whatever it is you got going on. We want to hear about it, and we will share our thoughts.
Again, even if you just want a second opinion on something random that you already did and just want to make sure you're not crazy, we will absolutely let you know.
And if you have questions about us, if it's not
if you want to know more about us, because throughout these episodes, you're going to learn some things about us. But if you want to know something specific before we actually get to it, let us know.
So, do you have anything else that you want to add before we get to our love life advice, quick tip of the week?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. All
right. Well, I will go ahead and let you start with our quick tip, or do you want me to go first?
You go first.
Okay, so I am going to say, make sure that, and this is coming from a woman's perspective, I think that a lot of times women feel like they should be showered with love and affection and attention. And while that is great and that is true, the reverse is also true. You have to remember to compliment your man, uplift your man, give him affection and attention and an ego boost. And there's nothing wrong with that if you have a good man. Now, if you got somebody that's not worthy of those things, then that's a different story. But, you should be getting him gifts that are thoughtful and personable and maybe paying the bill every now and then when that check comes. But there's just different things that you can do, little small thoughtful things to show, hey, I care about you as well. And I'm not just, expecting you to treat me like a little princess. Like we're all adults, and you can give that affection right back.
And what's funny? I actually should have went first because I kind of am going to say something along the lines of the opposite.
Go for it.
So yeah, in relationships, again, this is basically a partnership. I believe the government sees marriage licenses as contracts, as legally binding contracts, literally. So there are times when sometimes you just got to give your partner a push and be like, hey, look, we need to do better about X, Y, and Z. We need to make sure we're doing this in a timely fashion. We need to make sure, remember, we're adults. We need to behave a certain way. And, if we want to be successful in certain aspects of the future, regarding something specific, then we need to make sure that we're taking the time to do things properly. You have to be able to say things to your partner. You have to be at a place with your partner where you can say things and not be concerned about hurting them. Because sometimes, yes, love will hurt. Life hurts. But when you love each other, sometimes you have to say things that they don't want to hear to make sure that they're doing well. So there's times where I have something to say to Tara and I'm just like, I don't want to say that because I know how she's going to react. And I obviously hate, when you're upset. But, there's times where I'm just like, I just got to man up and say this.
I'll get over it.
Yeah, I have to. And I'll even help you get over it if you need help getting over it. But there's things when I got to say it, I'm going to say it. And yes, you can go in the room and be upset. That's fine. But when you come out, I mean what I said, and we need to make sure that we're handling, everything, because your decisions affect me, my decisions affect you, and we both need to be cognizant of that and make sure that we're taking care of each other as well.
Absolutely, I love that.
But yeah, and I absolutely
that's
love
not
what you
really
said.
The opposite. Yeah,
it's like yours was like give compliments, mine was like don't be afraid to give criticism.
I think that's complimentary.
They go hand in hand.
Love it. Love it.
We're so us.
Corny. Well, thank you guys for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you keep listening. And like I said, always send us any letters or any feedback, anything we want to hear from you. So make sure you shoot us an email or follow us on Instagram at thisisTTRL. This is TTRL. It stands for Tara Talks, Ryan Listens. And I love that because I am a talker sometimes.
And I have to apologize because I kind of zoned out at one point during the show while you were talking. Sorry.
And that's fine because
I'm supposed to listen.
Sometimes you talk and I zone out. So that's just life and love.
I feel like you zone out a lot, but okay.
All right. Well, that's all we have. Goodbye, folks.
Again, appreciate y'all for listening. We are having fun, and we hope you're having fun listening to us talking and listening because that's what we're doing here. Again, thank you. This is TTRL, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. That's what everything is across the board. We're also on SoundCloud and YouTube. Like the audio episodes are on YouTube and SoundCloud. If you don't have an iPhone / don't have Spotify, whatever the apps are that you don't have, we've made it accessible for pretty much everyone. So again, thank you all for listening. We will talk to y'all next week.
Have a great week.
Peace.